Arrogant billionaire son splashes dirty water on a poor old woman. Unaware she is a witch, 7 hours later, she sought revenge. It all started when Alex, the rich and proud son of a billionaire oil boss, was coming back from his father's village. He was driving his shiny Rolls-Royce very fast, even though the road was rough and full of potholes. As he sped down the muddy road, his car drove right through a big puddle of dirty water. Splash. The water flew up and hit an old woman who was standing by the side of the road. She had a small walking stick and wore an old, faded dress. Now she was soaked, her clothes dripping wet. She didn't move. She just stood there, frozen, water all over her face and body. The car stopped. The window slowly came down. Alex leaned out, laughing loudly. "Old woman," he shouted. "You should be lucky. A Rolls-Royce just gave you a free bath." The old woman didn't say a word. She looked at him, her eyes cold and calm, like she was hiding something. Then Alex did something terrible. He leaned out again, gathered spit in his mouth, and spat right on her face. The woman closed her eyes for a second. Then, slowly, she reached up and wiped the spit from her face with her fingers. But she didn't throw it away. No, she carefully placed the spit in her palm, closed her hand tightly, and held it like it was something precious. "Alex," said his cousin Lucas, who was sitting beside him, "did you see that? She just kept your spit." "So what?" Alex laughed. "She's just a crazy old woman." Then he pressed the gas pedal and sped away again. But Lucas couldn't stop looking back. The old woman was still standing there. She hadn't moved an inch. She just stared at them as the car drove off. It gave him a strange feeling, like something bad was going to happen. That night, Alex got home and acted like nothing happened. He took a long shower, changed into soft clothes, and watched movies all night. He laughed at the action scenes and ordered food. Everything felt normal. But when he finally closed his eyes and fell asleep, things changed. In his dream, Alex was running. He didn't know where he was. Everything was dark. The sky was black. The ground was wet. And behind him, he heard a soft, steady sound. Tap, tap, tap. He looked back. The old woman was walking behind him, slowly, her wooden stick hitting the ground with each step. "Help! Someone help me!" Alex shouted. Then he saw two people standing in the distance. His parents. He ran to them as fast as he could. "Dad, Mom, please help me." But his mom turned her back. His dad looked at him sadly and said, "I'm sorry, son. I can't help you." "What? What?" Alex cried. Then he saw something even scarier. His father's hands were tied with thick ropes. "No, no," Alex screamed. He turned around again. The old woman was now walking faster. Her face looked angry, but her eyes were calm, too calm. Alex turned and ran as fast as he could, and woke up with a loud gasp. But something was wrong. He wasn't in his soft bed. He wasn't even in his room. He looked around, confused and scared. He was lying in a pile of trash. Rotten food, old papers, and plastic bags were all around him. Flies buzzed near his face. He sat up quickly. He was wearing only his pajamas. His hair was messy. His body was dirty. Then he heard voices. People were standing all around him. Some were whispering. Some were laughing. Some were pointing their phones at him. "Isn't that the rich man's son? What's he doing inside a garbage dump? Look at his clothes. Is he okay?" Alex's heart started beating fast. "How did I get here? Why am I in the market? In the trash?" He stood up quickly and ran. He didn't stop. People kept staring as he ran barefoot through the street, his pajamas flapping in the wind. He ran all the way home. But one thought kept repeating in his mind. Something is very wrong. When Alex got back home, his heart was still racing. His hair was messy, his feet dirty, and his pajamas smelled like garbage. But he didn't care. He ran straight into the house. His father, Mr. Johnson, was in the living room with some workers and guards. His mother stood by the stairs, looking worried. "There he is," one of the maids shouted. His father turned to him sharply. "Alex, where have you been? We've been looking for you for over an hour." Alex stopped at the entrance, breathing hard. Everyone was staring at him. His wet clothes, his barefoot legs, his confused eyes. But he couldn't say a word. He slowly walked past them and went straight to his room. His father followed behind, frowning. "Alex," he said, "what's going on?" Alex sat on his bed, hands shaking. He couldn't believe what had happened. He closed his eyes, trying to calm his thoughts. Then finally, he spoke. "Dad, something strange happened." "What do you mean?" Alex looked up, scared. I, I had a dream. The same old woman I splashed water on, she was chasing me. In the dream, I ran to you, but your hands were tied. Then I woke up and I was in a trash dump. In the market, people were watching me like I was crazy. Mr. Johnson raised an eyebrow. What nonsense are you saying? I'm not lying, Dad. I don't know how I got there. One second I was in my bed, the next I was in garbage. It was like something took me there. His father stared at him for a long moment. Then he sighed. Alex, I don't have time for this. Maybe you were sleepwalking. Maybe you're just tired. But today, I need you to be serious. You're going to represent me at an important business meeting. But Dad, no excuses. Get dressed. Be there in 30 minutes. Alex wanted to say more, but he could see his father wasn't going to listen. Nobody believed him. Not the maids. Not the guards. Not even his own mother. With a heavy heart, Alex went to get ready. 30 minutes later, Alex arrived at the meeting hall, a tall glass building filled with powerful men and women in suits. It was a very serious place. People whispered in low voices. The air smelled like coffee and perfume. He walked in and sat at the long table. Everyone was talking about big things: money, oil contracts, international deals. Then it was his turn to speak. Alex stood up, still feeling weak. His heart was still heavy from the strange morning. He started talking. Thank you for having me here today. I'm here to represent my father in this project. But something felt wrong. People were staring at him. Not politely, but with disgust. Some of them moved back in their seats. A woman covered her nose. One man shook his head slowly. Alex's hands began to shake. Then he looked down and froze. His trousers were wet. Right there, in front of all those important people. He had wet himself. A hot feeling rushed to his face. His eyes widened. His mouth dropped open. No, this can't be happening. He tried to speak, but no words came out. He couldn't move. The room felt smaller, the air tighter. Everyone was staring. Cameras flashed. Then he ran. He rushed out of the building, tears burning in his eyes. His shoes slapped the floor loudly as he ran through the lobby, past the guards, and out into the street. He didn't stop. He ran all the way back home, heart pounding in shame. By the time he got there, it was already all over the internet. People were laughing. News channels were replaying the video. It was everywhere. His father was watching the news in the living room. When Alex walked in, Mr. Johnson stood up, eyes full of anger. What did you just do? He shouted. Dad, please let me explain. Explain what? That you wet yourself in front of investors. Do you know how much shame you've brought to this family? I am disappointed in you, Alex. Alex opened his mouth to speak, but then it happened again. Spat. A big drop of spit landed right on his father's face. Mr. Johnson stepped back, stunned. What did you just do? Alex's eyes widened. His lips trembled. I didn't mean to. I don't even know how that happened. His father wiped his face slowly, staring at his son like he didn't know him anymore. Alex's body started shaking. His hands moved on their own. His head felt dizzy. It was like someone else was controlling him. He backed away, terrified of himself. I swear, Dad, it wasn't me. I didn't do it on purpose. But his father wasn't listening anymore. From that day, everything in Alex's life changed. At first, it was just a strange dream with the old woman. But then it got worse. Every night when Alex tried to sleep, he had nightmares. In some dreams, he was falling into deep, black water. In others, he was locked inside a dark room with the old woman watching him from the corner, her eyes glowing red. He would scream, but no sound would come out. And when he woke up, things got even worse. He started urinating on himself, sometimes at night, sometimes in the middle of the day. He couldn't control it. His clothes would get wet, and the smell would follow him everywhere. Even worse, he started to drool uncontrollably. Spit would fall from his mouth without warning. No matter how hard he tried to stop it, he couldn't. In meetings, at home, even in public, he became ashamed. He stopped going out, stopped answering calls. His friends stopped coming around. Some laughed behind his back. Others simply left him alone. Alex felt like a shadow of who he used to be. His father tried to help. They went to the best hospital in the city. The doctors ran every test they could. Blood tests, brain scans, sleep studies. But each time, the result came back the same. Nothing is wrong with him. Still, the strange things continued. They tried again, this time to the biggest hospital in the country. Doctors from abroad were called. But again, the tests showed nothing. Alex's condition kept getting worse. Whenever he tried to do business, it failed. Whenever he followed his dad to a business meeting, something went wrong. Once, the meeting room caught fire. Another time, the clients walked out without a word. One man even collapsed during a handshake with Alex and was rushed to the hospital. It became so bad that his father refused to take him to any meeting again. "You're cursed," someone whispered behind his back. Alex became a joke in the business world. His father was ashamed, and his mother cried every night. Desperate for help, the family turned to therapy. They met with psychologists, counselors, and mental health doctors. But nothing changed. Then came the spiritual search. They visited native doctors deep in the forest. Some made him drink strange liquids. Others tied charms on his wrists and ankles. Still nothing. Then they tried pastors, big churches, small churches, deliverance programs, prayer chains. Each one said the same thing. Something spiritual is behind this. But we don't know what. Alex was tired. He was broken. His once proud face was now pale and weak. The boy who used to laugh in a Rolls Royce now cried silently at night, afraid to close his eyes. Then, one quiet afternoon, they visited a small church in the outskirts of the city. The building was old. The chairs were plastic. But something about the place felt different. The pastor was a calm man with gray hair and deep eyes. He asked Alex to sit down. Then he asked just one question. "Tell me, son, what did you do months ago to an old woman?" Alex's heart skipped a beat. His mouth went dry. I think I know what you're talking about." "Tell me," the pastor said gently. "I was driving back from the village. I splashed water on an old woman and laughed at her. Then I spat on her." As soon as he said those words, the light in the room flickered. The pastor nodded slowly. "She's the one," he said. Alex's father leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "She's the woman tormenting your son, the one from his dreams. She didn't forget what he did. And now, her spirit follows him." Alex felt a cold chill down his back. "Yes," he whispered. "She's the one I keep seeing in my dreams." The pastor stood up. "Then now we know the truth. This is not a medical problem. This is a spiritual punishment. And she is the only one who can stop it." Alex's father froze. "Why would you do that to an old woman?" he asked his son. "I was just having fun," Alex replied, his voice shaking. "I didn't know she would take it so seriously." His father looked away, ashamed. "What can we do?" he asked the pastor. "How do we fix this?" "There is only one way," the pastor said. "You must go and beg her for forgiveness. That's the only solution." Alex stood up in shock. "Beg her? No, I can't do that. I don't even know where she lives. It's been months. It was just a random village road. There is no other way," the pastor said, looking directly at him. "No amount of money can fix this. No prayer can break it, unless she chooses to forgive." Alex's hands were trembling. His father's face turned pale. "Isn't there another option? Maybe a special prayer or sacrifice?" The pastor shook his head. "She was no ordinary woman. You disrespected something you didn't understand. Only she can set you free now." Alex sat back down, feeling defeated. He remembered her face. The way she wiped his spit with her hand and held it like it was something special. He thought she was crazy, but now he knew better. The next morning, the sun had barely risen when Alex and his father packed a few bags and got into the car. Their driver was quiet. The road ahead was long, and the air inside the car was heavy with silence. No one spoke. They were going back to the village, back to the place where everything started, the place Alex never thought he'd return to. They drove for hours on narrow, dusty roads. Trees lined both sides of the path. Birds flew across the sky, and strange sounds echoed from deep within the forest. At every stop, they asked people, "Do you know an old woman who lives alone? She walks with a stick. She has no teeth." Most people shook their heads. Some looked away like they didn't want to talk about it. But after many hours of searching, an old man with one eye said quietly, "I think I know the woman you're talking about, but be careful. Not many go near her and return the same." Alex and his father followed the old man's directions. They drove deeper into the heart of the village, until the dirt road ended at a thick bush path. "We can't drive any further," Alex's dad said. "We walk from here." Alex looked around, nervous. The forest was dark. The trees were tall and twisted. The air felt thick and cold. "Dad, are you sure this is safe? What if something happens to us in here?" His father placed a hand on his shoulder. "We've come too far to turn back now. You need to be free. Alex. And so they walked. Each step into the forest felt heavier than the last. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. All they could hear was the crunch of dry leaves under their feet. After what felt like forever, they saw it, a small wooden hut hidden behind trees. It looked old and broken, like it could fall down at any moment. The windows were covered with dark cloth, and there was a faint smell of smoke in the air. Alex froze. "This place is creepy." "I know," his dad whispered. "But we're here now." They walked up to the door and knocked. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the door creaked open, and there she stood, the old woman. Her white hair was wild. Her face was wrinkled like dry leather. She had no teeth, and her eyes looked tired but powerful. She held her walking stick like a weapon. When she saw Alex, she narrowed her eyes. "It's her," Alex whispered. "She's the one." The old woman looked at them carefully. "Yes? What do you want?" Alex's father stepped forward and bowed his head politely. "Good afternoon, Ma. We are sorry for disturbing you. We came to ask for forgiveness for what my son did to you some months ago. He splashed dirty water on you and he spat on me." The woman interrupted sharply. "I remember everything, like it just happened yesterday." Her voice was dry and full of pain. "Please," Alex's dad begged. "We are truly sorry. He was young and foolish. Please find it in your heart to forgive him." The old woman's eyes burned with anger. "The wound is still fresh. You think a simple apology can heal it?" She turned and began walking back into her hut. Alex took a step forward. "Wait, old woman. We'll pay you a lot of money. You won't have to live in this forest anymore. You can move to the city, live like a normal person, not like some wild animal." The woman stopped. She turned slowly and stared at Alex. Her eyes were sharp, angry, cold. His father quickly stepped between them. "Please, forgive my son. He doesn't mean what he says. We'll do anything. Just tell us what to do to fix this." The woman stood in silence for a moment, her face unreadable. Then she spoke quietly. "There is only one way, one condition." "What is it?" Alex asked. "He will stay here, with me, for 7 weeks. No visitors. No going back to the city. No phones. No television. He will live in this same hut he mocked. He must suffer the discomfort he laughed at." Alex's mouth fell open. "What? Never. I can't live here. Look at this place. It's dirty. It's dark. It smells like smoke and wood. There's not even a bathroom. I am not staying in this godforsaken forest." He stormed off angrily, pushing through the trees and heading back toward the road. His father called after him, but he didn't stop. They reached the car, turned it on, and drove off in silence. That night, things got worse. Much worse. Alex woke up screaming. His bed was soaked. Not from urine this time, but from sweat. His mouth was foaming. His eyes were bloodshot. He could hardly speak. His body shook like he was cold, even though the room was warm. His parents rushed him to different spiritual homes again. More pastors, more prophets, more rituals. They spent millions looking for help, but nothing worked. Some days, Alex would forget his name. Other days, he would crawl on the floor, barking like a dog. His father wept in secret. His mother stopped eating. Everyone they knew had given up hope. Then, one quiet morning, Alex packed his bags. He walked downstairs in simple clothes. His face was tired. His eyes were empty. "Where are you going?" his dad asked. Alex didn't answer, but the look on his face said it all. He was going back. Back to the woman. Back to the forest. Back to the life he once mocked. Because deep down he knew it was the only way. The sun was going down when Alex finally reached the forest hut again. He stood in front of the old wooden door, covered in dust and sweat, his heart pounding, not from fear, but from anger and frustration. He knocked. After a moment, the door creaked open, but it wasn't the old woman. Instead, a young woman stood there. She looked around Alex's age, maybe a little younger. Her eyes were soft, her skin a rich brown, and her hair was tied neatly behind her head. "I'm looking for the old woman that lives here," Alex said, sounding tired and annoyed. "You mean my grandma?" the girl asked. Before he could answer, the sound of footsteps came from behind the trees. The old woman returned, walking slowly with her stick, herbs tied in bundles in her other hand. Alex stared at her with fury in his eyes. "I'm here," he said coldly. The old woman didn't say a word. She simply pointed to a tiny hut behind her main house. It looked like it hadn't been used in years, small, broken, No window, no door, just a hanging cloth. That's your room, she said. Alex clenched his fists. He felt humiliated. He was once a billionaire, used to king-size beds, ACs, golden chandeliers, and room service. And now this? A dusty hut in the middle of nowhere? He stood outside, refusing to enter. But time passed. The sun disappeared, and mosquitoes began to bite. The forest got cold, and strange noises filled the night. Birds, owls, frogs. He had no choice. Finally, with a heavy sigh, Alex pulled the cloth aside and stepped in. There was no bed, just an old mat on the floor. No fan, no light, no signal. The smell of earth and old wood filled his nose. He didn't sleep that night. He paced up and down the hut, angry, restless, and heartbroken. His life had changed so fast, and he didn't even know who he was anymore. The next morning, the real work began. The old woman gave him chores: fetch firewood, sweep the surroundings, carry water. Water? Alex asked. From where? She pointed to the nearby stream. With no other choice, Alex dragged himself there. The path was muddy and rough, and thorns scratched his legs. But he fetched the water. He fetched firewood too. He cooked. He cleaned. Day after day, Alex kept working. He didn't speak much, but deep inside, he was determined. If this is what it takes to be free, I'll do it, he kept telling himself. One day, after doing all his chores, the old woman gave him a final task for the day. Go and fetch water, she said. I already did, Ma. Not from there, she interrupted. Today, I want water from the river deep inside the forest. Far, very far. You'll walk past the hills. The river is hidden. Only few know the path. Alex stared at her in disbelief. But I don't know the place. I'll tell you the way, she said. And she did. Then she turned and walked back into her hut. Alex sighed and picked up the empty pot. He began the journey, walking deeper and deeper into the forest. The sun was hot. The road was rough. He passed trees that looked the same. He wasn't even sure if he was going the right way anymore. Hours passed. His legs grew weak. His eyes blurred. Finally, he collapsed. Face first, into the dirt. Darkness. When Alex opened his eyes, he gasped. He was still on the ground, but something was strange. The pot was full. Not just full, but filled to the brim with cool, clean water from the exact river the woman had mentioned. He sat up, confused. What? Who fetched the water? Then he heard a voice behind him. I did. He turned sharply. There, standing under the shade of a tall tree, was the young lady he met earlier, the old woman's granddaughter. She smiled gently. I saw how tired you were and followed you quietly. I didn't want you to get lost or collapse forever. Alex sat up, still catching his breath. You did that for me? She nodded. I'm Sophia, she said, offering her hand. Alex, he replied, taking it. From that day, Sophia became his secret light in the darkness of the forest. She would help him when her grandma wasn't watching, collect firewood, wash clothes, or fetch water. When they went into the forest for chores, they talked. They picked wild fruits and shared them under big trees. They laughed at silly things. They argued about little things like who could climb a tree faster or who had the best singing voice. Their bond grew deeper. Sometimes, at night, when the old woman was asleep, Sophia would sneak out of her hut and tiptoe into Alex's. They sat on the mat, whispering stories, making jokes, or just listening to the night sounds. Alex began to feel alive again. It was like Sophia was slowly healing a wound no one else could see. One night, as they sat together in the small hut, Alex turned to her. Can I ask you something personal? Sure, Sophia smiled. Have you ever been in a relationship? Sophia paused, then shook her head gently. No, never, never. Alex was shocked. You mean, you've never dated anyone? No, she said. I've never even kissed a man. Alex's eyes widened. Wait, are you saying you're still a? Sophia looked down. Yes, I'm still a virgin. Alex was speechless. Wow, that's rare. You're beautiful, he said. Smart. Kind most girls your age have been through so much. Why haven't you? Sophia looked up at him, her eyes soft but serious. Because I'm supposed to take over from my grandmother. Her priesthood. The spirit work. The rules are strict. No man is allowed to see my nakedness. Not even once. Alex froze. He wasn't expecting that. You mean if a man ever? She'll lose her power. And I'll be cursed forever, Sophia said quietly. Alex swallowed hard. Suddenly, the tiny hut felt even smaller. Something heavy hung between them. Silence. Then, Sophia smiled again. But I trust you, she said. You're not that kind of guy. Alex didn't respond. Because deep inside him, a battle had started. His heart was falling for the one girl he could never touch. The forest was silent that night. The crickets had softened their song, and the moon sat high in the sky, casting a pale light over the trees. A soft wind rustled the leaves. Everything was quiet, too quiet. Alex had finally fallen asleep on his mat after another long day of work and exhaustion. His chest rose and fell slowly, his face calm under the moonlight seeping through the hut's small opening. Then footsteps. Soft, barefoot, quiet as the wind. Sophia. She gently pushed aside the cloth covering the hut entrance and stepped in. The shadows danced across her face. Her long hair flowed over her shoulders. Her heart was racing, faster than it had ever raced before. Her eyes locked on Alex, who shifted a little in his sleep. But the sound of her steps made his eyes slowly flutter open. He sat up, confused, then surprised. Sophia, he whispered, rubbing his eyes. Is everything okay? She didn't say anything at first. She just kept walking slowly toward him. Her eyes held a storm of emotions, confusion, longing, and something Alex couldn't quite understand. When she finally stood in front of him, she looked him in the eyes, her voice shaking. I couldn't sleep, she said quietly. I was thinking about you. All night. Every night. Alex's heart started beating faster. Sophia, what's going on? He asked, sensing something serious. She knelt beside him on the mat. I need you, she said, her voice cracking. Please, I want you to break my virginity. The words hit Alex like a thunderbolt. He froze. What? He whispered, barely able to believe what he was hearing. I love you, she said, her eyes filling with tears. I don't care about the priesthood. I don't care about rules anymore. I care about you. I want my first to be with someone who truly values me. And that's you. Alex backed away slightly, his heart breaking at her words. Sophia, no? I can't do that. Why? She whispered, now crawling closer, tears falling down her cheeks. Why not? Alex took her hands in his. His own voice was shaking now. Because I love you too. That's exactly why I can't. Sophia stared at him in confusion. You're different, Alex said, gently brushing a tear from her cheek. You're pure, kind. Your virginity isn't just your pride. It's your future. Your path. If I take that from you, I'm not loving you. I'm destroying you. And I would never do that. But I'm choosing you, she whispered. And I'm choosing you, he said, his eyes shining with emotion. I'm choosing to protect your future, even from yourself. Sophia broke down in tears. Alex pulled her into a warm, tight hug. They stayed that way for minutes, holding each other in silence as the night watched over them. She eventually laid her head on his shoulder, and they talked quietly. Nothing romantic anymore, just raw truth and emotion. Then Sophia stood up. I should go back, she said quietly. I think that's best, Alex replied gently. She turned to leave, but just before walking out, she looked back at him. Thank you for loving me the right way. The weeks passed slowly, like water dripping from a broken tap. Each day felt longer than the last. Alex worked from sunrise to sunset, fetching firewood, drawing water, clearing bushes, helping the old woman with her herbs. The punishment was tough, the days were hard, but something inside him had changed. He had come to this place full of pride and ego. Now he was humble. He was broken, yet stronger. And he had found something, someone, he never expected to find. Sophia. They never spoke again of that night. But every glance, every quiet smile, every shared task, it said enough. Something deeper had grown between them. And finally, on the 49th day, the old woman called Alex. She stood outside her hut, dressed in deep red, holding a strange, ancient bowl made of carved stone. It's time, she said. Without a word, Alex followed her deep into the forest, to a place he had never been. The trees were older there. The air was colder. The wind whispered secrets between the branches. At the center of a circle of rocks, the old woman placed the bowl on the ground. She lit candles and sprinkled herbs. She chanted in a tongue Alex didn't understand. Then she called him forward and dipped her fingers into the bowl. Close your eyes. He did. A sudden warmth ran through his forehead. Then silence. The wind stopped. The forest fell still. It is done, the old woman said. You are free. But freedom was not the end of the story. The next morning, Alex packed his small bag. It wasn't much, just a shirt, a few things he came with, and a new heart that felt heavier than it ever had before. He walked up to the old woman, bowed his head, and said, "Thank you, Ma, for everything." She nodded. Just then, from the corner of the hut, Sophia stood silently. Tears filled her eyes, but she said nothing. Alex saw her. He took a step toward her, but before he could speak, Sophia suddenly clutched her stomach and fell to her knees. Sophia, Alex, and her grandmother rushed to her. Sophia's face was pale. Her lips trembled. Then, she vomited. Again, and again. The old woman stared at her in shock. "Are you all right?" she asked, kneeling beside her. Sophia wiped her mouth, trying to smile. "I'm fine, Grandma." But her eyes were filled with guilt. The old woman narrowed her eyes, suspicious. She reached for her bag and pulled out a small bundle of leaves. She ran a local test. When the leaves turned blue, the old woman's hand froze midair. Her face went white. Then she stood up slowly, turned to Sophia, and said in a whisper, "You're pregnant." Sophia's breath caught in her throat. She looked down, then up. The truth was too heavy. The old woman stepped back, shocked. Her voice grew loud. "Who is responsible?" Sophia said nothing. "Who?" The old woman screamed again, trembling. Alex stood still, his heart pounding louder than a drum. Finally, Sophia lifted her arm and slowly pointed to Alex. The old woman gasped. Her lips quivered. "You—" Alex took a shaky step forward. It was never planned. We didn't. "You've destroyed her life," the old woman shouted, tears burning her eyes. She stormed into her hut, shaking with fury. Moments later, she returned, holding a strange charm wrapped in red cloth. Alex's eyes widened in fear. She raised it high, but just before she could cast the spell, Sophia threw herself in front of Alex. "No." She faced her grandmother, tears running down her cheeks. "It wasn't his fault. It was mine. I begged him. I couldn't stop myself. I was tired, Grandma, tired of this life, tired of this forest, of serving gods I never chose." Her voice broke. "How long do you want me to stay here? Forever? Alone? When you die, what will become of me?" The old woman trembled. "I gave you everything," she said softly. "My life, my years, to protect your path." "I never wanted this path," Sophia said. "These weeks with Alex were the happiest of my life. And I want more. I want to love, to be loved, to live, even if I have to die for it." The old woman's hands dropped to her sides. She staggered back a step, her eyes brimming with tears. "You'll die," she whispered, "just like your mother. The gods have chosen you. There's no going back. You will die when the child is born." Sophia's voice cracked. "Then so be it. Better to die with love in my heart than live forever without it." The forest was quiet. Only the wind cried with them. Then, the old woman slowly sat down on a stone. Tears rolled down her face. "I said those same words once," she whispered, "to my own mother. But I didn't have the courage you have now." Alex knelt beside her. "Is there any way to save her?" Silence. Then, the old woman looked at him. "There is only one way." "What is it?" "I'll do it. Anything. I don't care what it costs." She looked away. "It will cost me." Alex froze. "Your life?" he asked, voice trembling. The old woman nodded slowly. "Only the one who offered her to the gods can take her place. That is me." Sophia collapsed to the ground, sobbing. "No, no, Grandma, please." But the old woman smiled for the first time. "Maybe this is how I get to choose my own ending too. Maybe it's not a curse, maybe it's a gift." The next morning, she called them together. She looked calm, strong, peaceful. "Alex," she said, "take care of my daughter." Sophia looked confused. "What do you mean? You both can go now? Live a normal life. But what about the sacrifice?" Alex asked. The old woman smiled gently. "It's already done." Silence. They both stared at her in shock. "I will meet my ancestors before noon today," she whispered. Sophia broke down. "No. Grandma, please. Don't leave me." The old woman pulled her into a long, tight hug. "My child, I love you more than life itself. And that's why I give you mine." Sophia wept into her shoulder. "I don't want to go. Not without you." "You must," she said gently, "and never come back. You're free." She pulled both of them close, kissed their foreheads. "Run. Now. Before sunset. You are not meant to see my body." With one final blessing, She raised her hands and placed them on their heads. You are blessed. You are free. Go. Alex and Sophia sobbed, kissed her one last time, and ran. They ran through the forest, past the rivers, through the trees, never looking back. And as the sun crossed the sky and reached its peak, the old woman took her final breath. Alone, at peace, smiling. Where are you witching from? Don't forget to like and subscribe.